Well, hello beautiful people and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I am addressing the beneficial ownership requirement that is currently being enforced by the CIPC on all registered businesses. My name is Thandisa Mahe and I talk all things relating to business, making money and their family life. Now, before I get right into it, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been continuing to support my channel. I am going to be monetized soon and very soon. I can feel it. It will not be a year. Just in a few months and I think I will be monetized because of your support. So I thank you so much. If you are a returning subscriber, I appreciate you. And if you are coming here for the very first time, I welcome you and please consider subscribing. Please consider switching on the notification bell so that you're kept abreast of when we put out new content. Now, beneficial ownership. The issue of beneficial ownership is such a bone of contention in this country. And I do understand it's something that is new, that has been introduced. And I think a lot of businesses, smaller businesses, even bigger businesses, a lot of businesses don't understand how to actually go about it. So I want to put out a disclaimer. I do not work for the CIPC, nor am I qualified to talk on this. What I am just merely going to do is to unpack my understanding of the process and simplify it so that you're able to just understand and follow it through. Because after I had engaged with it and I executed my own submissions, I was able to actually see that, no man, this is not as complicated as we think. I think it's just that it's got foreign language that we're not used to before. And you know what? Every single thing that comes on, that's a regulation, that's, like another compliance requirement, it really adds a lot of work on top of the already highly worked up small businesses. I mean, businesses already have a lot of work at their table, but now when we've got a regulatory and administrative requirements that we need to adhere to, it kind of becomes a nightmare because it adds a lot more work to what we're already holding. So let's talk about the beneficial ownership. Okay, and I want to start with just a basic definition. What is this beneficial ownership all about? And the first thing that I want to make mention and clarify is that a beneficial ownership is it's an individual. It is a natural person that has got some kind of control or voting rights, or that is the ultimate owner of a business or an entity or a company, right? Because we understand that sometimes when it comes to directors and when it comes to boards, when it comes to CEOs, when it comes to people that are operating the business, there might be a difference between those people and the people that are ultimate owners. Even in an instance of a trust, there might be people who are administering their entire trust, but in actual fact, it's got specific people who are the ultimate controllers and the ultimate owners and the ultimate beneficiaries of that kind of an entity. So a beneficial ownership is basically answering the question that says, who is the ultimate owner? Like, who is at the back? Who is at the back of this business? That is what it is all about. And I want to also make mention that you cannot say that the beneficial owner is another entity. It cannot be a juristic person. It has to be an individual, a natural person, a human being. It cannot be a company. It has to be a person. I have a company, it's called Wisdom for Business. It cannot be Wisdom for Business. But I, as a natural person, I am Thandisa Mahe, and I can be a beneficial owner, right? So a beneficial owner cannot be another entity. It cannot be another company. It has to be a natural person. Let's start there. And the reason why CIPC is rolling out this process there are so many different reasons, but I'm going to touch on a few. They have started to roll out this process on the 1st of April, like the launch of, CIPC now creating a beneficial ownership register, because it was not there before, according to my own understanding. A beneficial ownership register the CIPC did not have until they launched the compilation or the process towards them compiling the beneficial ownership for the companies that are registered, that are administered under the CIPC. They launched the process on the 1st of April 2023. it's been already over a year and people have just, been disregarding it and ignoring it and whatever. But now what's happening is that you are not able, now that they've launched the process, you are not able to submit your annual returns. I think we are used to usually submitting our normal annual returns every single year. But now we can't, because now that this requirement is enforced and businesses need to comply with it, we cannot bypass it. We have to adhere to it. And it started on the 1st of April 2023. Now, there are two main important reasons that I'm going to mention as to why this register needs to actually be done. And we need to, reflect and tell the CIPC who the beneficial ownership of our businesses are, or who the beneficial owners of our businesses are. Let me put it like that. I'm going to touch on two main reasons. Just to give you a sense of why, like answering the why. Why, CIPC, are you doing this to us? I'm going to give you two reasons that are going to give you a bit of calm. The reason why the CIPC is rolling out this process and requiring people to submit their beneficial ownership as relating to their entities is, number one, they want to assist in the instances where there are issues with money laundering, okay? Because we know that there are things like that are happening. But because people are able to front, and then you don't know who is at the back, because legally, you're going to just be told these are the directors. But in essence, these directors are just a front. But behind them, there are other people who are conducting money laundering type of situations. The second one, still in this one, is terror financing. We understand that all governments all over the world are trying to curb a lot of terrorism. And a lot of financing that happens is because there are hidden people behind the legislative processes that are put out. Now, it's about transparency. And the Companies Act requires businesses to transact in a transparent manner. So it's just another layer to add transparency to say, okay, this company is being handled and managed by these people. These are the directors. These are the CEOs. This is the board. But the control, the voting rights, the ultimate ownership rests with these individuals. That is what they are looking for. The second thing that I also want to touch on is the fact that the listing agencies and companies that had put South Africa on that caused us to end up being on the grey list, they also consider whether or not a country has got a hold on or some kind of control and an awareness of the ownership of the entities that exist in that country. And when they see that there is an effort towards, managing things that are, there's cloud over certain things, then they will feel kind of like, okay, there's a bit of safety because there are systems in place that are being established to ensure that those that are breaking the law are held to account. So it might even help in such situations. And when your country is grey listed, you are causing everyone to run away. Investors specifically, my interest is on investors. It's on growing the economy. And the country becomes unappetizing, because of things like that. So this process is also going to positively contribute to the decisions that are made by these listing agencies. Okay. The other question that I want to answer is who needs to file? And I know that there is a bit of a complicated answer that I could give to this, but I choose to, for the sake of my audience, for the sake of you guys, and understanding the category that my audience falls into, my answer is everyone that is registered under the CIPC needs to file. You need to go and tell CIPC who the beneficial ownership of your business belongs to. Who are the beneficial owners of your company, of your entity, of your business? So my answer for that is every single person that is registered under the CIPC. It doesn't matter what type of entity that you are. If you are registered under the CIPC, then my answer to this question is, do you need to file? Yes, you do need to file. Yes, you do need to tell CIPC who the beneficial owners of your business are. Now, the other important thing is the conditions, certain conditions that you need to keep in mind when you are actually going to be starting the process of filing and submitting for your beneficial ownership information. I want you to keep in mind that you need a mandate. If you are going to file for someone else, like if Tandy is going to file for company XYZ, there needs to be a mandate that I get from company XYZ to actually do the filing for me, to do the submission for me. And there is a mandate that needs to be submitted reflecting the person that is responsible for the submission. Now, listen to me very carefully. I would advise you to, whether you're going to be filing for yourself, let's say you are the sole director in the company, the business is yours, you are the beneficial owner of the business, you are like 100% of the shares are yours, there is no one else that's involved. I would advise that you still do the mandate, and you do it like this. You put all the company details and information, make sure the mandate is on a letterhead, make sure you reflect, you say something like, this is a mandate to confirm that we give Thandi Samahe the responsibility to submit our company details to the CIPC with reference to the beneficial ownership and annual returns. And then you make sure all the details are there of the basic details of the company. And when you're saying Thandi Samahe, you put there my name, my full names and surname, and you also put my ID number. I'm making an example so that your mandate is comprehensive. There's nothing that it cannot be poked. And then at the bottom, you need to sign. You can, because you are representing the business, and then you are giving the mandate to yourself, the natural person, to do the submission. Then you can just sign at the bottom, because every mandate that's submitted needs to be signed. You can sign at the bottom, maybe as a company secretary or as a director, and then you submit. That mandate, it needs to be part of your submission. But in the instance where there's more of you and you actually also decide to use a third party, like you request someone else to do the submission on your behalf, your mandate, yes, needs to state everything that I have said before, but then there's a requirement. If you're a PTY, that mandate needs to be signed by 50% plus one of the directors of the business. Let me put it into a practical example. So once you've put all the information, as I've mentioned earlier, then at the bottom, you put details for the directors to sign, like an area where not all the directors of a PTY, but 50% plus one directors of a PTY actually sign. So let's say this company has 8 directors. You need to make sure that you get 5 directors to sign, mandating that person to execute that responsibility of submitting on behalf of the company. And the reasoning behind this is very simple. It's to make sure that everyone is on board, that this person needs to be appointed, and they agree that this is the right person to appoint, because anything that you submit that is false, or you make errors on your submissions, or you provide false information deliberately, it will actually be an offense. And an investigation can be done against you. You can actually be red flagged on the system. Like, there's a lot. It's a serious matter, guys. We need to take it as serious as it is, right? Now, this is for if you're a PTY. If you are a CC, all the directors need to sign that mandate. So the first important area is the mandate. Before you even start touching the system, don't touch the system until you have finalized the mandate. And on the mandate, if you're the only person and the beneficial owner is still you and there's no one else, then you can just sign the mandate at the bottom and sign it as a company secretary or as a director, for an example. Then your mandate is fine. But if you're a PTY, that mandate needs to be signed by 50% plus one of the directors of that business. If you're a CC, that mandate needs to be signed by all the directors. I hope that makes sense. You cannot be able to file the beneficial ownership on CIPC without having that mandate. I hope you understand. Now, let's get to the most interesting part, which is And this is how, logically, in my mind, when I was understanding the whole process and I was going through it, I actually got to understand, no, man, I need to actually say this. I need to tell you guys that before you start the filing process, prepare these documents, because you're going to get stuck on the system and you're going to be like confused. Why am I stuck and everything? It's because you haven't prepared. You need to prepare these specific documents before you even touch the system, off or away from the CIPC system. These are the 4 main documents that you need to have. The first one is a certified ID copy of the person who is going to be filing for you. Whoever that person is, then you need a certified ID copy, a current certified ID copy of that person. Number 1. The second document that you need to prepare is securities register. Now, please don't have palpitations. I was also shocked when I discovered that the CIPC has not created templates for this. I do not understand the reasoning behind that, because this is what also adds a little bit of pressure on the whole process. They do not have a template for you to use as a securities register. So you just need to create it from scratch. I would advise using a table. Just create a table on Microsoft Excel or on Microsoft Word. And there are important elements that you need to reflect on this securities register. It is not complicated. It is not difficult. It is not hard. Please do not have anxiety. You just need to hear what I'm saying and go and implement it. So I think for all these documents that you're going to be creating and submitting, let these things be standard. Let every document that you're going to be creating have a letterhead, your company letterhead at the top. Let it have details such as the name of the company on it, the address, the contact information, the contact numbers at the top, like letterhead. Let that information be standard, be there, because that is what is going to, it's going to really make things easy for you. Listen to the list that I am going to mention of the things that need to be included in your securities register that you are going to create. These are the headings that you need to have. And then underneath the headings, you are going to be completing it for 100% of the shares of the company. If the company or the entity or the business has got 100 shares, you need to reflect this for every person that has a share in the company. Right. Every single person, but these are the headings that you need to have on that document, on the template that you need to create. I'm going to try and create these templates and probably put them on my website. And then I'm going to, when I've done it, I'm going to indicate, just keep a lookout on my website. I'm going to indicate it somehow. I think on my website, I need to put that. My website is www.thandisamahe.com. That's where you're going to find my website. And I'm going to try and put it somewhere on my website, the templates that I'll create. But for now, I feel like you can be able to just run with this process because it's so easy. This is such a simple thing to create. These are the most important areas that need to be reflected on your securities register. Number one, your company name needs to be there. The address of the company needs to be there. Registration number, the street address, the type of business or entity. Then the headings that you're going to be completing under is the shareholder's full name and surname, shareholder's ID or registration number, number of shares issued, class of shares issued, date when the shares were issued for each of the shareholders, date when the shares were issued, date cancelled if applicable, amount that was paid for those shares, the street address of that shareholder, the postal address of that shareholder, the email address of that shareholder, the contact number of that shareholder, and an indication of whether or not that shareholder is active, as in, are they active? Yes. Are they not active? No, they're not active. Now, that is what you need to populate. And then if you've got, let's say you have two shareholders and they each hold 50% in terms of shares, like they're sharing the shares on a 50-50 basis, you're going to list there the name, the surname, all those details for the first shareholder, indicating the 50%, how much they paid for the shares, and are they active or not, all of the information I've just mentioned above. And then you put the second shareholder. If there are 20 shareholders that are sharing all the shares of the company, you list them accordingly. If there are 100, you list them accordingly. And that is what you're going to call your securities register. You need this because you need to upload it later on the system when you are doing the actual submission. Document that you need to prepare even before you touch the system, before you actually do the submission, is called a beneficial interest register. Now, it talks about the people who are the ultimate owners of the company. If they are the same as the ones above, you put that information. But if they're not, then you put the real, actual, ultimate beneficial owners of the company. The ones behind now. If behind, it's still these ones, then you just put the same information. But if there are other people behind the shareholders and the directors of the company, then you need to put that information on this beneficial ownership register. CIPC still does not have a template for this one. I'm going to try and put it on my website. But in the meantime, this is what you can be able to do. Take note of these important areas that need to be reflected as part of your beneficial ownership register. And you can also just make it into tables, just make it into like a table and create headings. Important things to note are, obviously, you need to still make it in your company letterhead. Make sure that your registration number is there, the company name is there, the addresses, the contact numbers are there, all the important stuff, the basic important things, they need to be reflected there. The street address, the entity type. Then on the table, you want to include the surname and the full names of the beneficial owner, right? The ID or the registration number, the beneficial interest that they actually hold in the business, the street address, the postal address. Oh, and when I'm talking about the beneficial interest that they hold, it will be reflected in the form of a percentage because it depends how much control they actually have based on how much they are the ultimate, benefactor of the business itself. So that is usually allocated, like even in terms of trustees, trustees in a trust, there will be percentage allocation. This trustee has got this much control in terms of percentage. You need to reflect that information here. You need to include the email address of the beneficial owner, the contact number of the beneficial owner, and also reflect if the beneficial owner is active or not. And this is basically the document that you need to have, a beneficial ownership register. You're going to list all of them until you've covered everyone. Do not leave anyone outside. Do not leave anyone outside because that is wrongful information. That is false. That's falsifying information. That is misleading the CIPC. And there are consequences to doing that. Okay, actually, I've just noticed that that's the last document that you need to prepare before you hop on the system. These are the 4 documents. As I've mentioned above, these are the 4 documents just so that you see them, like I structure them properly. It's the ID, certified ID copy of the filer. It is the mandate, very important. It is the securities register, and then it is the beneficial ownership register. Now you can go to the system. And when you get to the system, first of all, you cannot select someone who does not have a customer code, who is not a customer to CIPC. This person needs to be able to log into the system. So that you're going to log into the system. I'm going to give you a couple of steps that you're going to follow when you want to actually do the filing. I have really summarized them in a very high level just to give you a picture. But they're like so basic. They are very basic. You'll understand them easily. Step 1, log into the system. Step 2, click on Transact. Step 3, go and find the button at the bottom that says beneficial ownership. Step 4, you need to acknowledge the declaration. There's a declaration that CIPC has put there. You need to read that declaration and then acknowledge it and accept it, and then it will move you to the next level. Step 4, now you are going to need to select a new process. So you're going to select new. That is if you have not yet started any processes of submitting the beneficial ownership before this moment. But if you are going to be continuing, select the one that you are working on and continue from that, because you can keep saving. I think it allows you, it will delete an application that's open that is not completed, I think after 30 days or so. So if you are starting the process right now, you haven't done it before, you're going to press on new. But if you are continuing a previous one, you're going to select the one that you were working on before and continue from that one. Step 5, the system is going to, present a list of entities that are aligned to the customer, that are there. If you can't find it on the system, try searching for it. You can find it on the system. There are certain entities that will not come up because they are deregistered, they are in liquidation. There's so many reasons why, but mostly if you are okay, the company that you want to file for should reflect on the list or when you search for it. Step 6, you are going to be requested to populate information about the entity. You need to complete that form. It's just basically information about the company, and then you proceed. As you proceed on step 7, the next thing that you want to do is to now upload that mandate we spoke about earlier. This is the part where you need to now upload that mandate into the system. Step 8, you need to select company type. Now here, company type does not mean CCPTY or anything like that or trust. Company type now means something else. There are 3 categories that have been, provided by CIPC that you now at this stage need to choose from. And I want to explain these 3 categories a little bit. Number 1 option is an affected company. Most of my target audience is not an affected company. An affected company is literally like your public companies, your state-owned companies listed on the JSE, that kind of category. Those will select affected company. The second category is non-affected company with beneficial ownership. And the third category is non-affected company with no beneficial ownership. The next step, which is step 9, is uploading the supporting documents, which will be the 3 remaining documents that, as I spoke earlier, I said 4 documents, right? So you've already given the mandate. Now you are left with 3 documents. You need to submit the certified ID copy of the filer. You need to submit the securities register. And then you also need to submit the beneficial interest register. You upload the document. Step 10, if everything is correct and you are happy, you can press submit. This is what is going to happen. You are going to receive an email and an SMS as the filer. Make sure the details that you have on the system are the correct ones, because this is where CIPC is going to be sending an OTP. The email is going to contain an OTP. The SMS is going to contain an OTP that you need to go and retrieve. Step 12, you need to capture both of those OTPs on the page that is displayed in front of you. So you're going to go to your email, get that OTP, put it where the email OTP is, and then go to your phone, your SMS, and take that OTP and put it where on the system it says put the OTP. And then step 13, you will get an email. That email is going to be acknowledging the submission of a beneficial ownership. And then that's it. You're done. You have actually been able to submit your beneficial ownership. I want to make mention again, I am summarizing my understanding of the process. I am not qualified to talk on this. I am not, I am putting that disclaimer out there, but I think this is the easiest way I could make so that you can be able to also understand. The best thing that you can also do for yourself is to go to the CIPC and go look for their couple of documents that they've put out explaining how to actually do the beneficial ownership submission, so that you make sure that you are on the right side of the law. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. I hope this video truly helped you. If you are new, consider subscribing and consider hitting the notification bell so that you are kept abreast of what we do here and when we put out new content. Otherwise, that is all from me for today. Until next time, stay absolutely blessed.